Welcome to a new series I'm doing called Breakdown, where I break down whatever. This will be on danganronpa, so I'm gonna give I don't want to say recap because recap sounds like I'm telling you everything you need to know for an upcoming thing, but danganronpa is over. But I'm just gonna say it for now. So far I've planned 3 of these videos, although the other 2 will definitely be in multiple parts. And this might be in multiple parts as well because I only have 45 minutes before I have to end the video. And I've already used 50 of them, or 50 seconds, I mean. But anyway, so first off, you have the first game. And I'll just explain some stuff that gets introduced at the start of the game. So you play as Makoto Naege, who is the ultimate lucky student. What that means is that he is a person who was selected in a sort of lottery of students worldwide to attend Hope's Peak Academy, which is the #1 school in the world, where every student has a talent. So for Makoto, because he was lucky enough to get picked to attend this prestigious school, he's considered the ultimate luck. I'll have to give an example of someone else. So Byakuya Togami is the ultimate heir because he is the best at being an heir. This was a terrible example. Kuwata, Leon Kuwata, ultimate baseball player, star, whatever. He's really good at baseball. Probably the best in the world. Anyway, so Makoto walks through the front door, but his head starts to spin. He feels sick. He passes out. He wakes up in a classroom and he exits. Eventually makes his way over to the not the gym, the front entrance, and there are 14 other people there. I'm not going to get into all of them. So, once they all go out and introduce themselves and their talents and all that, however, Kyoko Kirigiri doesn't remember her talent. Anyway, eventually they get told to come to the gym. So they go to the gym, where a animatronic bear, not unlike Freddy Fazbear, suddenly pops out, called Monokuma. And he says that you're going to spend the rest of your lives in this school, but if you want to get out, you have to kill someone and get away with it. So, in Chapter 1, Monokuma provides a motive to kill. Everyone gets a video of someone that they really care about, and then it shows them like disappearing or something like that. So for Makoto, it's his mum, his dad, and his sister saying, "Oh, we're so proud of you, good luck," etc. And then it suddenly cuts to the same room, but it's been trashed. And it says, if you want to find out what happened, kill someone. And a friend of Makoto's, who is attending the school, she's the ultimate pop sensation. That's enough to get her to kill. Because it was, she's part of a girl group, and the video shows all her girls lying on the floor, probably dead. So she forms a plan, and she says to Makoto the next night, "Oh, someone tried to break down my door. Can you help me? And so they go to the hall outside the gym where they saw a sword, but it's just a replica. It's not a real sword. They grab that for self-defense, and they decide to swap rooms. So everything's fine until the next morning when the Popson station doesn't show up, and someone points it out. Makoto realizes, crap, something might have happened. Runs back into his real room, goes in the bathroom, and she's dead. With the numbers 11037 written in blood next to her. So the trial investigates. Obviously, they think Makoto did it because, whoops, she was killed in his room. And the reason why that happened is because the ultimate pop sensation, I don't remember her name, sorry, she was gonna kill the person that killed her and blame it on Makoto. But the person that killed her before she was able to kill him. So what happens now is that they gather all the evidence and they go to what is called the class trial. I know that apparently some fans get pissed off when you say this, but I agree with it. The class trial is just like Ace Attorney. So it's like, it's a courtroom when they've had all the evidence, and eventually they realize that those numbers aren't numbers. If you turn it upside down, it will look like LEOII. So Leon, the ultimate baseball star, killed her because she tried to kill him. But despite the fact that actually it wasn't self-defense, but there's no need to get into why it's not self-defense. Despite that, Leon is executed. Then in chapter 2, the motive is embarrassing secrets. So for Makoto, it said that he wet his bed until he was like 7. With no reason to kill. But 2 people got motives that were enough to kill. Or at least Monokuma thought so. One of them was the ultimate programmer, who, I said this in my review for one of the books, but the ultimate programmer is a guy, because everyone thinks that he's a girl, because he wears a dress, speaks in a girly voice, etc. He is not trans. The reason why he does this is because he is a very weak man, so people would have bullied him, saying that he's not a manly man. He's just a boy. So he transferred schools and started dressing as a girl to be more. I don't even know what the word is, but you get the point. So, yeah. And the other motive was the ultimate biker, who his brother died saving him because he was being a pussy, basically. So oh, I just turned my iPad off because it on high charge. I should explain this at the start. I'm going in publication order, not chronological order, because I feel like it's more of an impact going in publication order. Because I know of 2 recaps. One of them was 9 minutes long and covered almost everything prior to D3, and another one was over 3 hours long and covered everything up to D3 except for like a couple of books. The important stuff, basically. for this I'm going to cover everything that I know of. But anyway. So, the ultimate programmer, whose name I think is Fuji or something like that, he becomes inspired by Ultimate Biker's strength and goes up to him one night and says, I'm a guy actually, can you help me be strong like you? And the Ultimate Biker was like, oh, this kid's like really brave to say all this to me. And he's like, oh, I'm feeling like a bitch compared to him. Gets angry, bonk. And then the Ultimate Heir finds the body. Oh, sorry, the biker puts his body into the girls' changing room, because these were not changing rooms, like the gyms. And then Byakuya discovers the body and stages the scene to look like a serial killer called Genocide Jack did it. And it's revealed that Genocide Jack is actually one of them. I don't remember her name. The ultimate writing person. I don't know. This ultimate writer, I guess. She has a split personality. The other personality is Genocide Jack, who likes to kill, and I quote, pretty boys and hang their bodies up with scissors and write bloodlust in their blood. But Byakuya staged the scene differently, because Fujisaki was killed by a dumbbell and was hung by some cords. So it wasn't Genocide Jack. As I said, it was the Ultimate Biker. Anyway, so they find that out, obviously, and then he gets executed. Chapter 3. Before he died, Fujikawa made an AI version of himself. Sort of like GLaDOS from Portal, I guess, but kind. And the Ultimate Fanfic writer and the Ultimate Hall Monitor sort of fight over him, because the Ultimate Fanfic writer is turned all my traps, despite the fact that Fujisaki isn't actually a trap, technically. And the Ultimate Hall Monitor wanted to use the AI to make a separate AI of the Ultimate Biker, because they were like really close friends. And the Ultimate Gambler, Celestia Ludenberg, takes advantage of this, so teams up with Ultimate Fanfic writer, saying the Hall Monitor took the computer. I have a plan. Let's go kill him. Yeah, okay. So the fanfic writer pretends to get attacked by someone called Robo Justice, and everyone finds him. They take him to the nurse's office, and then while they're treating him, they hear Celestia scream. So they go up and look for her, and she said, "Oh, Robo Justice hit me," and she got like blood coming down her face. And they go back down to check on the fanfic writer, but they find him dead. And then I'm trying to remember, it's been a long time. Some people went upstairs and said, "Oh, we'll find the body of the hall monitor." So they go there, they check that out. They go back down for the fanfic writer's body, but he's gone. And then they go back for the hall monitor's body, and he's also gone. And they look all over the school for him and can't find him, but then eventually they do find him, both dead, in another room. So what happened was that, as I said, Celestia and the fanfic writer teamed up. So the fanfic writer pretended to be dead. And then while he's pretending to be dead, Celestia killed the hall monitor. Oh, by the way, motive this time was money. But I don't feel like the money motive was really relevant to this case, when basically every other case in the rest of the series does. But anyway. So she goes and kills the hall monitor and pretends to be attacked and all that, so that they can divert attention away from the fanfic creator, so that he can, get back up, drag the body away to hide the evidence. But then Celestia kills him, and eventually they find out she did it. She gets executed. Chapter 4, they find, well, before, the motive was the ultimate fighter, I think. I don't remember her name. She was actually working with Monokuma as a spy. So that creates some distrust, and the fighter decides to kill herself in order to stop the fighting. But the trial is confusing because there were multiple people who were, because some things that happened, it seemed like multiple people would have done it, but eventually I realized that she did it herself, and obviously because she's already dead, she doesn't get executed, but instead they decided to execute the AI that Fujisaki created, because the fighter told Monokuma about him. Anyway, in chapter 5, they decide, screw it, we're gonna break into all these rooms, because there are a bunch of rooms that are locked off. And Monokuma said that you will be executed if you try to break them down. They decide to screw it and do it anyway. Or actually, no, they see Monokuma dissect it. But, these robots basically dead inside of Now's Our Chance, and they go and break in, but they can't find anything to break in. They go upstairs to look for something, and they find another body. They assume it's Kyoko because they haven't seen her in a while, but it's not. Kyoko eventually returns, but only during the class trial. Turns out it's actually the 16th student, Mikuro Ikasaba, who is the ultimate soldier. But eventually, everyone thinks that Makoto did it, and they'll vote on him. And by the way, there's an alternate ending where they think Kyoko did it, and they vote for her, and she's found guilty, despite the fact that she didn't do it. She gets executed, and the 5 remaining students live out the rest of their lives in the school with children, happy. But what really happened was that Makoto was going to get executed, but because the AI was uploaded into the school before being executed, he was able to stop Makoto from being executed. So he falls down to the massive bin in the school, because that exists for some reason. And Kyoko decides to come along with him and try to help him get out. So they get out, they go to Monokuma and say, that was unfair. You know what didn't do it? I want a retrial. And they get the retrial. And Monokuma decides to open up every locked place to search for evidence. And eventually they decide that, or they realize that the person who's controlling Monokuma the entire time is Junko Enoshima, the ultimate diva, who actually died in chapter 1 after attempting to kill Monokuma. Although that actually wasn't Junko, that was Mikuro, who is actually Junko's twin sister. And they were working together the entire time. What the plan was that Mikuro, disguised as Junko, would attack Monokuma and would be caged so that the two of them could, make sure everything's fine. But Junko decided to kill Mikuro instead. So eventually, it comes down to a battle between hope and despair, because that is Junko's motive. She wants to spread despair. And she says that you can leave if you want, but what has happened is that it's the end of the world, because everyone has just become insane with despair. So you can either, by the way, the air is polluted, so you will die almost immediately. The only reason why you aren't dying here is because I have a air filter system. If I die, it's gone. But they decide to risk it and go outside anyway, and Junko dies. And that's the end of the game. So the next up is a book called Danganronpa 0, and I read this immediately after finishing the first game, but I didn't realize like a very important thing about it until today, because I watched that 3-hour long recap, and I don't know if I was just not focusing or if the copy that I read didn't translate that bit, but it focuses on the ultimate neurologist who is working with a person who has anterograde amnesia, which means that they forget their memories every, I was going to say every 15 minutes, but that's the movie Memento. I'm just going to say forgets their memories every day. Like, once they go to sleep, the memories are gone. And the ultimate neurologist is trying to cure that. And the forgetful person, who I'm going to call J, the letter J, not J-A-Y, or anything like that. And I'll explain that later. J keeps her memories written in a book. And she is in love with the neurologist. So Kyoko is investigating a murder that happened in the school. And eventually Jay meets Junko. And something like that happens, but eventually, and this is the bit I didn't realize, Jay is Junko. So what happened was that the neurologist was in love with Junko, and Junko was in love with the neurologist ever since they were both children. And Junko was building this sandcastle, like massive sandcastle, when she was young. And the neurologist was, they sort of bonded over that. But then one day, the sandcastle was found destroyed, and the neurologist says to Junko, "Oh well, I'll find the person who did it." And he didn't find the person who did it, because Junko did it herself, because she wanted to divert the neurologist's attention away from his mom, because his mom has like dementia or something. and she is quite abusive towards her son because she thinks her son is an intruder, someone breaking into her home, and him being away from his mum while trying to look for the person who destroyed the sandcastle will make that even worse. I don't know if this writing is realistic or not. I don't know anything about dementia. I don't even know what it is, dementia, but whatever. So flash forward to now. Junko said to the neurologist, I want you to wipe my memory and all that. I'll get into why later. Actually, no, I won't. She wanted to test out memory wiping, so that she could prepare for the killing game that happened in Trigger Happy Havoc. Because I forgot to mention this. Makoto and the other 15, including Junko and Meguro, spent 2 years in Hope's Peak before the killing game started. But Junko had their memories of those 2 years wiped, and that's why she wanted the neurologist to test that out, because this actually, it takes place before the first game. But anyway, next up is Super Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. So there is 16 new students. The protagonist is Hajime Hinata, who doesn't remember his ultimate talent. So they're in Hope's Peak, and a rabbit bear similar to Monokuma called something. I don't remember her name. I was going to call it Rabbit. I actually think it's a guy, but whatever. Rabbit says, "Okay, kids, we're going on a trip." And all of a sudden, they are in Jabberwock Island, which is a, basically paradise. So they're all happy, and she says, "Oh, I want you to collect like eight friendship fragments, or whatever. Basically, just become good friends with everyone else." And they start to do that, but Monokuma appears and starts up another killing game. So the first time, by the way, Byakuya is back, but this time he's really fat. Yeah. Byakuya decides, I'm not going to let anyone die again. So he decides that they'll hold a party in this area, and so he knows where everyone is, and he brought with him night vision goggles. But Nagato Komaeda, the ultimate lock. The reason why there are 2 ultimate locks is because they're selected every year. So Nagato is 1 year older than Makoto. He brings along a knife and hides under a table. He tapes it to the table and puts glow-in-the-dark paint on the tape. So throughout the party, the lights go off. Nagato goes towards the knife because he is planning on killing someone. And Togami puts on his night vision goggles. Man notices Nagato going towards the table, and he's thinking, well, that's pretty suspicious, better check it out. Rushes towards the table, sees the knife, grabs it before Nagato can, and suddenly the lights turn back on, and he's found dead. But it wasn't Nagato. It was actually first name something, last name Terry. Or maybe Terry is his first name, I don't know. The ultimate chef, who he was in the kitchen making food for everyone, and he went around the floorboards with a spear, a knife, whatever, he saw the glow in the dark tape and just stepped up there and he killed Togami. That was he was found out, executed. And Nagito admits that he was planning on killing, so everyone else decides to tie him up and basically hold him prisoner. But anyway, in chapter 2, the motive is this game where these girls discover a dead body, and actually the sister of the ultimate Yakuza was murdered, and the ultimate Yakuza found out who did it and murdered her, and Monokuma made that into a game because, once again, memory wipes. So the ultimate photographer was somewhat involved in the murder of the Yakuza's sister, and Yakuza didn't find this out until after playing the game, and he went to talk to the photographer, but his bodyguard, the ultimate swordsman, who is also on the island, kills the photographer, and she is found out and executed. In chapter 3, the motive is something called the despair disease, which a couple of students got, when it acts differently for everyone, which I'm not going to bother getting into, but to take them to a hospital thing, and the ultimate nurse, Mikan Sumagi, I think her last name is, decides to treat them, and obviously she contracts the disease, and because she got it, the thing that it did for her is it made her remember everything, and I'll get into why this caused her the murder. The ultimate musician or rock star or whatever, and the ultimate dancer, but it caused her to murder those two people. And found out and killed. She had a real part of what caused her to do it, but not everything because spoilers. Forget what it was, it's been a while. So, anyway, I really should have done this for Mobbies in, but whatever. In the fourth trial, they are brought to a different place where they can't get out from with no food, which is the motive. They have to kill someone in order to live. So the ultimate animal breeder kills the ultimate coach. Find out, execute it. But they also discover a book in this place, and the book details the events of what happened in Trigger Happy Havoc. This might be important. Well, it's important for the game, might not be important from a recap, but whatever. In the fifth trial, the Nagato, but who's been free for a while, like I think he was only chained up in chapter 2, I just chose not to mention that they unchained him. Anyway, he decides that enough is enough. I forgot how they know, but they know that once again there is a traitor, and he says that enough's enough. If the traitor doesn't expose himself, I probably shouldn't have said that, but whatever. If the traitor doesn't, come out, I'm gonna blow up the entire island. And he sets off an explosion to prove that he's not lying. So eventually, they all go to this place, and because they think he's there, but he's not, until they go into a side room, but the side room immediately goes on fire, and they all grab these, like, fire repelling things. It's not fire hydrants, but it's like these glass things that you throw them at a fire, and it puts them out filled with, like, water or the foam that they use or whatever, I don't know. But after the fire's extinguished, they find Nagato dead. But they find out that technically he killed himself, because he set up this, like, really complicated thing, and then had it, he added poison to one of the fire bottles, and hoped that his luck would make sure that the imposter threw the poison bottle, because that means that the imposter would have killed him. And the imposter did. The ultimate gamer, Chiaki something. And she is executed. Only thing is, she is an AI, because the real Chiaki has been dead for I don't know, about a year or two. Anyway, so once again we get to the point where this chapter 6, Monokuma reveals his the identity of the mastermind, and once again it is Junko. And the reason why it is Junko is because they were in a simulation the entire time. Because what had happened was that, as I mentioned, the entire world was went insane with despair. And the 16 students in D2, outside simulation, they went insane from despair. But Makoto had kidnapped all of them and uploaded them into a machine similar to the Matrix called the Neo World Program, in hopes that they could sort of cure their insanity. Whatever. And that's why there was the rabbit saying that, yeah. But Hajime, who actually technically doesn't have an ultimate talent, Junko created an AI of herself, similar to what the ultimate hall monitor was hoping to do. She then put this AI onto a USB, basically, and Hajime had uploaded it into the New World Program. And then it's revealed that Hajime is technically the ultimate Hope, because Hope's Peak wanted to make a person who's ultimate everything, who would be called the ultimate Hope, and they decided to use a talentless student to do that, and Hajime was that talentless student. Anyway, once again it comes to a vote between hope and despair, and hope wins. So the survivors get out of the Neo World Program, and they decide to stay. The Neo World Program was on the real Jabberwock Island, but the simulation took place in a simulated Jabberwock. Anyway, the survivors decided to stay on the island because it's possible that all the people that died might be, you might be able to save them. Oh, and I forgot to mention this earlier. Byakuya, the fat one, isn't actually Byakuya. He is real name unknown, the ultimate imposter. Anyway, next up is the first anime, which is just called Danganronpa the Animation, which is a poor, it's a rushed adaptation of the first game. Watch it if you want. But also included with D2 was a novel called Danganronpa F, which is sort of like fan fiction where Makoto remembers everything. Like he remembers the events of the first game. Despite the fact that he's currently in the middle of chapter 1. And Mukuro, disguised as Junko, is about to die. And because he remembers all this, he says to Mukuro, watch out, Junko is about to kill you. And that triggers like a sort of branch in the timeline, I guess, where Mukuro survives and they'll fight against Junko and they all leave alive. Next up is Danganronpa Nulleran, which I don't actually understand what it is. Yeah. I think you're best off just looking at my review for that. But that was I don't even know what it is. I think it's like a physical thing that is a transcript of an alternate ending where everyone survived, but hidden in the game's files is a video that is the end of the first game, but it shows the sprites of everyone leaving instead of the 6 survivors. Anyway, next up is Danganronpa another episode Ultra Despair Girls, which is a spin-off and is a third-person shooter instead of a visual novel. Although there is a lot of visual novel in this, because you'll take like 2 steps and it'll bring up visual novel stuff. But anyway, Makoto's sister Kamaru was kidnapped by Junko and was held captive in a hotel place. Actually, it's similar to the movie Oldboy, where she was there for like a year and a half, I think, until a Monokuma breaks in and tries to kill her. But the real Byakuya comes and saves her, because the 6 survivors all joined up with the Future Foundation, which were people who weren't affected by the despair, who were trying to defeat the despair and rebuild humanity. Anyway, they come and save Kamaru, and they give her a gun, which is able to sort of hack into the Monokumas and destroy them. So they try and rescue her, but she gets kidnapped by the Monokumas, who are led by a group called the Warriors of Hope, who Junko saved them because they were all going to kill themselves, but Junko gave them reason to live. Anyway, actually, I'm going to end it here because, it's 44 minutes. I have another minute and 14 seconds. So I'm just going to upload this and create more space so I can make a longer video.